This is a recording of Charles Thomas Cripps, taken on the 26th of January 1992 by his daughter Jenny MacKay. Chas, as he is affectionately known, was born the eldest son of Tom and Norma Cripps on the 24th of July 1924 and is the third generation of Crippses to run Mumby Farm, situated north of Northampton, and was originally purchased by his grandfather Charles Cripps in 1893 by swapping a team of horses for 40 acres of land. So it starts off and it says, where and when were you born? So we'll start off with that.
Well, where and when were we born? Well, today's the 26th of January, isn't it? 1992. And I was born at the Maternity Hospital in Geraldton on the 24th of July, 1924.
Maternity hostel being which one? One at the residency, but they call the residency now?
Oh,
up the top end?
Yeah, I'm sure that's the one.
Because there was one in Gregory Street as well.
Oh, well, good question, Jenny.
I remember old Nana saying something about Gregory Street at one stage.
Would have been on the birth certificate?
On your birth certificate, probably.
I got that in there somewhere. I'll look later on.
Dig that one out.
If we can.
All right. What were your parents' occupation?
Well, they were mainly just a mixed farming, weren't they, at that time? That's all I can remember about it. They were on the farm, looking after themselves.
Well, what sort of crops did you grow back then?
Oh, well, they would have grown...
Growing crops, or?
They would have grown wheat in those days, but they would have to do it all by hand. Just about a single burrow of flour by hand.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, old Matty Maggie told the story of the 20 acres up the front here. So the first 20 acres, some of that was put in by hand, and they single burrowed, and the girls just had to cut the hay and sack it and reap it somehow. I don't know how they used to do it that old and Rose, but they used to do it there. Very good.
Hey. We had some brothers and sisters. How many?
Yeah, well, in the family of 10, I was the first son. There was Dola and Margaret and Norma and Phyllis. Then I came along, and we had Ernie, Brenda, Jim, Rita, and Leah. They're all doing well.
Right. Okay, and what are some of your earliest memories? What can you remember?
Memories?
Talking about the eggs there before. What was it about the eggs?
Oh, well, the memories. One of the first things I can remember is when I thought I would have been 3, was when they rebuilt the veranda around the old Mumby homestead and put the kitchen on. It was made out of the cement walls, the same as the King's Hall in Northampton. The King's Hall was built in 1927 by Cripps brothers, and they were out here putting the veranda and the kitchen on the Mumby homestead. And we shifted up to the men's quarters, and I thought it was 27, but when I look through the books, I see where Chris Crowder's done the job and he's paid for it in 1926 in December. So that would have made me 2.5 years old. So that's the first thing I can ever remember. How's that?
Yeah.
Then at the age of 9, another thing I can remember was we went up here the first time I'd ever went to Sandalwood Bay. We camped up there. We had the Hardy Sally's mob up there, and the Woodcock, that'll be the Chisholm mob, the Woodcock mob, and the Cripps mob. The 3 families went up and stayed at Sandalwood for a fortnight. That's another one of my memories.
So when you used to stay up there, what did you actually stay in? Just sleep on the beach?
They used to rig up a tent. Us kids used to sleep on the back of the truck, if I remember rightly, but they used to make the working men used to go up a couple of days beforehand and make some sort of a tent out of tarpaulins or sheets or something like that.
How did you get up there?
In an old Chev 4 truck. That was the main. We wanted to make 2 or 3 trips. Well, that was the Mumby team who went up on that. I don't know how the others went up. I know we had to make a couple of trips to get up there.
There's something about an old tractor. I used to have an old cart on the tractor.
Oh, that was later.
Probably my time.
Yeah, when we gave that after. But Rita, I remember Rita first learned to walk up to Sandalwood Bay. She took her first couple of steps up there, and everyone was quite excited. Our mum must have had a handful then looking after us all up there. But
I reckon. But the audience, Rita, she first walked. Doing about 80 years up there all at once. Oh,
another one is I remember, and I seen in the book the other day where they killed a roan buck, and I can remember a roan bullock hanging up in a gum tree just behind this house here now, over towards the ram shed. I can remember that roan buck hanging in the tree, and I see where they sold some steak to Chillamy, and he had to return it later on, or they swapped it. It would have been a swap those days. But that was one of my first memories. I didn't write
Was
down.
it a roan bullock?
Yeah, instead of roan. Yeah, I can remember the roan.
Rome as in Rome, R-O-M-E. Is that what you mean?
Roan colour.
Oh, Rome colour.
Roan.
Roan.
Oh, yeah, that's the red and white would it be? Something like
that. Yeah.
That's another one.
Remember old Ferdinand? Was it an old bullock we used to have here called Ferdinand?
I can't remember that one.
No.
Come on.
Oh, what was that we wrote down a while ago? Something about your eggs. You said remember.
Oh, that's one of the.
I've dropped it down the bottom.
Yeah,
there.
when Ernie and I were trying to gather some eggs from underneath the chook of the wood heap one day, and we couldn't get the eggs out from underneath the chook. And I said, Ernie, go and get a box of matches. I'll get her out. And we set fire. I think she had about 60 eggs under it, but look at the eggs everywhere. And we set fire to the chook and the box and the wood heap and everything. That caused another hiding.
Oh, God.
Yeah, way back. But our working man did panic that day. Ernie and I used to set rabbit traps for as our pocket money, and someone told us if we went out about 9 o'clock at night and to take the rabbits out of the trap, we get an extra one or two rabbits by morning. And Ernie and I used to go out on a roan horse we had then too, Hallelujah, we used to call it. And this particular night we go along, and there's a tree with a low branch, and it had a hook on it, the foot sticking out, and I ducked down underneath it, but Ernie didn't duck low enough, and the branch caught him, the hook on the branch caught him by the back of the shirt and hung him up in the tree, and I had to back and get him out of it. That's another one. Another one we had was when Dad was sick too. I must have been older than what I thought here, because I know we went over the chasing rabbits, and we had some traps set, and I come home, we had a little fox there, so I tied him up with my scout belt and brought him home and showed him to Dad in the bedroom, and poor old Dad was in bed then with a heart attack. He must have nearly had another one to see me hand this young fox in my arms into the bedroom. He did give me a really roasting. Obviously, I could have got bitten in the face.
Yeah.
Never mind, that's one of the old ones.
Oh, cool.
And another old Dad used to tell another one too about there used to be a racetrack at the bottom of the Railway Hotel in Northampton. There used to be a racetrack around the back.
Oh, all right.
And he went in this picnic race one day, and he went around the race course, and he was running last. But he always said to me, he said, I'm running last, and he said, you're going to cut across the paddock and see who won the race. He said, oh, blow. I said, they'll sling off at me if I pull out, so I kept going. And he said, damn me if I didn't win the race. He told me afterwards he'd been feeding his horse on white oats, and he reckons that the white oats must have kept him going. But he come from last and got up to the front. So he won one race at the bottom hotel that we know of.
There was a racetrack down at Bottom Hotel.
Yeah, the racetrack used to be behind the Railway Hotel years and years ago.
All right.
And of course, then we had another picnic meeting in Northampton years ago when Ernie and I we used to gallop down kangaroos. That was our sport. And we had two good horses. And my horse was extra good in the scrub, so it was fast and we always get a kangaroo. So anyway, this particular race day, we took them both into races, and Harold was giving us a bit of education. Ernie said to Harold, what'll I do if I get too far in front? Harold said, well, keep there. Because Ernie ran last. Because there was two races, and the next time he put the horse in, the horse actually belonged to Reggie Drays. And he gave it to me because it wouldn't leave Mumby's. Those olden days, if you fed a horse, he'd always come home.
Yeah.
And Ernie rode him the first time ran last, and the next time he went to get on the horse, and old Walter Drays, that's Reggie's brother, walked up to him and said, now let him go this time, Ernie. But he still come last. Very good.
Yeah. No, do you have what do you used to play with? Do you have any toys? Or?
No, we had, the first thing I remember ever given to me was a football. And Uncle Jack gave me that football. And that was coming out of the kitchen of the old house. This was after the veranda must have been built, so it would have been 3 or 4 or something like that, I should imagine. And I reckon the football looked about 2 foot long. So he said, have a kick. And when I had a kick, it was a brand new football too. And I went out to kick, well, you can imagine it wouldn't go too far. I can about 2 foot at the most. But it looked to be 2 foot long, the football. Never mind.
So what did you do for fun? I mean, what was...
Well, the main thing was just, we used to go chasing rabbits and trying to knock them down with stones. And so the hotter the day, the better we liked it, because there'd be more rabbits sitting underneath the trees. And they used to back it underneath the tree, and just we'd try and stone them out then. We'd get one now and again, but we had a lot of misses too, carried a lot of stones around. But it was good exercise.
Do that now. Certainly be after you.
And we had it, because then later on we had our push bikes after the depression part of the years sort of thing. I suppose when that was starting to go, we had our first lot of push bikes.
Oh, where'd they get those from?
Well, there's a shop in town. I know Ernie and I picked ours up at the Barlows. They come out of the shop and we were excited. We got 2 new push bikes.
Yeah.
And just then we used to do a lot of riding around the country on push bikes and getting punches. So
where was Uncle Jim at this time? He wasn't...
No, he must have been still away at school, Jimmy. He wasn't with it, but I can remember him coming out of school, and we eventually got him a smaller bike, but he had a few gusses off that too. But Jimmy had a little bit of paralysis earlier, and that's the reason why they bought him the bike, to give his legs plenty of exercise. Because Eddie and I was making work, because he'd be behind, and he has to go a lot faster to keep up with us. It was good fun.
Oh, there must have been a bit of trouble with the legs in the family, was there? Because Auntie Brenda had trouble with her feet, wasn't it? And he used to reckon she would
used to go
his boots.
Bird nesting too a lot. It was a lot of our fun. Yeah, collecting birds' eggs. Yeah, they were. We had a big collection of birds' eggs there, you know. And if I thought there was good eggs in the bird's nest, I'd climb the nest, and if I thought there was nothing in, I'd send Ernie up.
Ladybug, isn't it?
Yeah, tries to make sure I got the eggs. Of course, you bring them down in your mouth. There's 3 or 4 eggs in your mouth, and if you did something wrong or did something, you'd bite one egg. That caused a bit of trouble sometimes.
Yeah. Oh dear, I remember bird nesting ourselves actually when we were younger. Oh dear. So and then you went to school. What? You didn't go to school in Northampton here, did you at all?
I never.
You had 2 teachers.
I went to not correspondence. We had a sort of a lay teacher, a primary teacher, I think they used to call them, or governors. Governors be more the word. Governors.
Can you remember who they were?
Oh dear, I can't remember. I can remember a few of them. Lil Baker, Laura O'Nahern, Molly Burke, Miss Purcell. Who's the other separate?
Ivy Elson. She actually left, I think, not long after you were born.
Yeah, well, she helped Darla and Margaret and Norma and Phyllis on correspondence. She was sort of helping them when she was looking after Mum.
Oh, yeah.
So she gave them
I've got a good story there from Ivy. She wrote to me some months later.
Because then I left home and went to school in 1938 in CBC, or CBC then, but it's more known these days as St. Pass. I went there for 3 years, 38, 39 and 40. I know the first year I went there, it was 38. But the first time I'd ever left home. The first time I'd ever been away from home. I know I cried for the first fortnight down there, and what's her name now? Evelyn Johnson. She later married Pommy, Evelyn Reynolds.
Oh, yeah. I
used to go down to her quarters and sit on her lap and cry for the fortnight. And she always tormented me about that, but still, I admit it. That was the first time I've been away from school, away from home. Quite good.
Oh.
And I enjoyed those years then, later on. Learned to play football, cricket, tennis, and it was quite neat. We had a Bonds teacher there, a sports teacher, Brother Murphy. And he was extra good at that. Then we had another teacher who was good on arithmetic. That was my favourite subject, arithmetic. And at the night time after study, he'd be up in his room and I'd pretend I couldn't do a sum. And I'd go in and knock on his door and he'd show me how to do it. But I used to only go in there to get his handwriting. He had a beautiful handwriting. I used to admire his handwriting. Tremendous guy.
Oh, that's good.
Right.
What were some of the any awards that you won at school or anything like that?
No, nothing. Nothing outstanding. But in the 1940, I was I was in the junior class, as they call it then, and I was made a prefect, and I would have been in the first group of prefects ever to be nominated at CBC. That was in 1940. And, I know that all the other boys in the leaving, they were all prefects, but I was a prefect for the junior class.
Were you actually acknowledged with that by getting a badge or anything like that, didn't you?
No, I just can't remember. If I did, I can't remember.
Special tie? Didn't they have a special tie that was a prefect's tie?
Not then, I don't think. No, I just can't remember anything about that. I know as soon as I went over the sand hills, we were heading down towards the cathedral or down to the Jordan tennis courts. I think we were going down to play tennis. And one of the boys in my class said to me, "Hey, what was going on over there, Charlie? What were you up for?" And I said, "Oh, I've just been made a prefect." That was all it was all about. He said, "Would you like a cigarette?" And he handed me a packet of 10, but I refused on the spot.
You had to. That made the prefect look good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're sort of going backwards here. I thought the Depression was around the 1940s, but according to this, it's about 1930s.
Yeah, it was, oh, definitely, yeah. Around about the 1930s, and that's when Mum and Dad had to steer us right to. I couldn't remember properly, but they wouldn't have had a lot of money those days. They wouldn't have had any, and we had to live on the land. I should imagine we'd have all our meat and grow our own vegetables, milk our own cows, make our own butter, and that was all part of the game in those days. Mm-hmm. So how they got it where we are today, I don't know.
So the family itself, did it seem to affect the family the way everybody sort of got on together?
No, we all grew up a very happy family, a whole lot of us. Very good.
That's good.
No arguments till we got older.
Oh, well, what about pocket money? Did you ever give me pocket money?
No, never had any pocket money, not to my knowledge. We went to town, we got a bag of lollies, we used to call it that day. Those days, a bag of lollies. Because I don't know what they cost, but Mum and Dad would give us a bag of lollies. I know one of the school teachers asked Ernie, how many lollies would he get for 3 pence? He said, a bag full. But, yeah, that's all. Because then, even when I went to school, we only had a shilling a week to spend. It was 6 to go to the pictures. What was it? 6 to go to the pictures and a penny for a stamp. And I think the cool drink cost us 6 so we had to wait for 1 week before we got another cool drink. But we only had 5 to buy a drink, but
all right.
we had another week to get a drink. But it was. We used to get hungry at school. We used to complain about the tucker and so forth, but we ate well and lived well, and we slept well. So we must have been in pretty good health when we come out.
Well, did you have any jobs to do around the farm? Was there any special job that you had to do?
Yeah, well, we just take them in turns because those days we had no gas. We had to light the fire. So for the night time, you'd have to have some kindling wood there to light the copper for everyone to have a bath because the copper used to be lit. And every time you took a bucket of water out, you had to put another bucket in with a tap over the top. So then you top it up. But that just had to be lit about 5 o'clock in the afternoon to get water ready for each one to have their bath. And we'd have to have the kindling wood there. Then they'd have to have kindling wood ready for next morning for the light in the oven to keep it going all day for keep the family breakfast, dinner and tea for going for so on. And if you're lucky enough, those days we used to get a lot of pine wood. And we'd sit for hours up at the woody, cutting up pine wood, just slicing the thin slices. Oh, yeah. So that it burned nice and easy, like the other jam wood up.
So what, this fire was kept going pretty well all the time? Summer, winter?
Fire in the kitchen. Oh, I'd go out at night time.
Yeah.
And after tea, when everything was finished, it. But in the daytime, it would get light in the morning to cook breakfast, and it'd probably go. Then after breakfast, the bread would be cooked. You'd have to make the home bread. All the homemade bread was cooked each day. And later on in the afternoon, the fire would probably be going with flat irons to do the ironing. And I don't know what ironing wouldn't be done every day, but there would be certain days they would have done ironing there. And the fire kept going from when it would lit 5 o'clock in the morning for breakfast at 6 or 5:30, whatever it was. And go through after tea that night, after wash up.
But how'd you manage in the summertime? Did it get really hot?
Didn't worry about it, just keep going.
Yeah, I suppose. You just sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
They used to wear all those long outfits, didn't they? You know, there weren't no shorts and, you had shorts, but...
Yeah, well, they all had, well, a lot of the men used to wear them and, what do they call them? Vests, didn't they?
Yeah.
In those days. We never had any refrigeration system or anything. All we had was a what they call a Kalgoorlie safe, and that was a frame with flywire mesh around it, with a hessian bag over the top of it, and a tap dripping on the top. And that used to be what they call a cool room, only used to keep the butter cool and hang a little bit of meat in it. It was fly proof, it was supposed to be, and hang a little bit. That's only method of keeping anything cool.
Yeah, would things go off pretty quickly, I suppose?
Well, they wouldn't put a lot of meat in there. All the meat was salted down. It was put in a brine and salted, and you rub the salt into it. Ordinary just baked salt or coarse salt, and when you want a bit of meat, you dig it out of the salt brine and boil it up, and that'll be your next meal. Because that'll last cold for quite a long time. Then get a bit of salt meat.
So, what sort of meals did you used to eat? No, I should imagine you had your stews and your roasts.
Yeah, well, after more or less when we left school, so I think I started to grow up and work on the place, we'd have our roasts. Because then later on, we got the kerosene fridges come in, and you can keep a lot more stuff there. But we used to have our roasts, and we used to eat a lot of rabbit too. And I can remember when I first came home from school, the girl would say, "We got nothing to eat tonight, Charlie. Step over there and get a rabbit." Well, the rabbits were that thick. You go over and shoot 3 or 4 rabbits, and when you come home, you pick the best 1 or 2 out what you wanted for a meal, and you'd have that for tea that night. Quite good tucker too.
Yeah. I don't think I like the old rabbit. I won't try that one.
No, it was quite good. Done as stews or braised or baked, either way, quite good.
So the old house you lived in down there, how many rooms did that have in it?
4 bedrooms. Yeah, 4 bedrooms, and the lounge room and the dining room. And it rammed all around it. Well, there's a certain number of us there all the time, so we slept on the veranda most of the time because there wasn't enough room in the bedroom for the girls, because they weren't all there all the time either. Some of them were older up and they'd gone away, but a lot of the time we used to sleep on the veranda. We found it much cooler of sleeping outside of the night time. And then if it come up rain, we'd sleep out there in the winter time too. Our beds were always made out in the veranda in the winter time, and if it rained, we'd just pick up our mattress and throw them in the floor inside, and just jump into bed and wait till the daylight next morning. But quite often when I was sleeping on the veranda, this was when I was probably 18, 19 to 20 or something like that, the rabbits used to come in and eat off the lawn of the night time. And I used to lay in bed with the 22 and shoot them without just in the moonlight. But you'd only have to roll over in bed and they'd take off. They got used to me after a while, but I've got a lot of rabbits all the same.
Poor rabbits never had a chance. Well, the Nan and Pop, were they very strict with you?
Yes, but at the same time, we never used to go out anywhere. We never got away from home that much. If we went out on the horses, we had Jenny home by a certain time. They wouldn't know where we were and so forth. But we never, not like the kids today, they could go to town every day. But if we went to town, we only had one vehicle and we only went in once a week or whatever it was. And I know I stayed home for 8 weeks on the road after I left school, never went to Northampton, and Ernie beat me. He went for 9 weeks on the road without going to Northampton. But we used to go out shooting of an afternoon then, most of the time. But getting back to Mum and Dad, yes, they were strict. We had a few hidings with the old skipping rope. That went around us a few times for not doing the right thing. But
you remember doing anything really bad that they really reprimanded you for?
I suppose one of the worst ones that Ernie and I ever got was when we went out to the working men on our old Alleluia, the pony, and we took Freddie Blood with us. And Dad told us not to go near the working men, but we did decide to go near the working men. And I know Mick Reynolds was shifting the truck across the paddock, and I think Ernie and Freddie, I know Freddie was on the back because the drum bounced up and hit his little toe and split in halves because Mick had to race him home, and they had to get him into the doctor to get his toe stitched up while he was here on holidays or something. And by the time Ernie and I got home, Dad was sitting at the door waiting for us with the rope, and he locked us in the bathroom and gave us 1, 2, 3. That was probably the worst item we ever had.
Oh dear. The time when I ran away from school.
Yeah.
I got the biggest hiding in my life. Oh no, I didn't get the hiding actually. It was boy that got that. Oh, it goes back to school again here, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Skips around a bit. Did you like school?
Yeah. Yes, I enjoyed it. Yeah. It was, as I said, it was the first time I left Mumby. And I went to school and I done my junior. I didn't pass my junior, but at least I got. The morning I was going for the exam from the English, so I was going down the Hospital Hill, what they call the Hospital Hill from the CBC. And I went around the corner too wide and I come a guts and nearly ended up in the railway yard and I split all my lip open.
Oh.
So I didn't pass my English exam, but I got I got 4 subjects. I just forget, but I know I got my maths. And I was very, very fond of maths.
And maths was your favourite subject, was it?
Yeah, that was my favourite subject and it stuck to me all the time. I can still add up quicker than the ad machine sometimes.
Yeah. So when did you leave school? What year?
1940.
1940.
Yeah. I was, what year? Yeah, well, that'll be, I was 16 then, turning 16.
So you didn't actually go do what the sub-leaving?
No.
You left straight after your junior?
Yeah.
And was there any reason why you didn't go straight to your leaving?
No, probably not. Probably I wasn't good enough to get no brains or something. But that was the start of the war then, and the men were starting to go away from all the farms and so forth, and we wanted back home to do a bit of work. So I come home and worked on the farm then. After coming up the year I was 18, that was in 1942, I tried to join the Navy, and I'd never been to Perth. My first trip was a free trip to join the Navy to Perth.
The actual Navy, not the Army.
No, the Navy.
You wanted to join the Navy?
I wanted to join the Navy. Yeah, I wanted a big bell-bottom trousers. I wanted a big bell-bottom trousers to make it look good.
Oh, right.
And it was a bit of a flash fair then when Rod Glass and after us, we said, well, let's try to get it, see if we can get the biggest bell-bottom trousers and our going out clothes. Anyway, yeah, so my first trip, and Dad said Phyllis down, he reckons I wouldn't know the way, and I went down by train with Phyllis, because we stayed at Auntie Nell's place in Perth, Auntie Nell, Cripps, and I went down, we had to go to Neaton Forest Place, you go down to Fremantle to check in, and we had to, by that time they had what they call a manpower office down there, and we had to go into there first, and this bloke took a few particulars of it. He told me to go home, and so it wasn't I had to go home and work. Well, this time because the working men were getting a bit light on in the farming community, so he sent me home. I never had a good enough excuse or good silly. I went and put in what I was doing. If I'd have put in I was a mechanic or some thing, I'd have probably got away. But being a bit dumb those days, we were all young, and we put in exactly what we were doing, and he sent us home.
So, what about Ernie and Jim? Did they want to go to the Army or Navy?
Yeah, well, Ernie tried to get the Navy officers too, but he couldn't get away either.
Because you were farmers,
yeah,
they wanted to keep you here.
When I got home, I went straight to Bernie Cripps and I said, can I go and put in for the Air Force now? And he said, well, you're wasting his time because the same blokes manpower that the blokes in the Navy is what they do the Air Force. So I come home then. And then later on, when I did turn 18, we had to be called up then. So this was voluntary before I was trying to volunteer to go to the Navy. And they called us up then in 1942 when you come of age, 18.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I walked in there, this bloke had my manpower favours with him in front of him, and he just told me to get back out. As I walked outside the door, there's a chap out there who's just going away at the same time, Albert Pollock, and he had a 22, Winchester pump action 22. He said, Charlie, he said, would you buy this off me for £5? And I said, yeah, righto. And today I've still got the pump action 22 is nearly as good as the day it was gave to me when I bought it in 1942.
All right.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Even I saw him the other day, the same bloke, Lou Pollock of the races. And
oh, yeah.
I said to him, that 22's going beautiful.
All right.
Great.
Oh, he remembered it, did he?
Yeah, he remembers selling to me, yeah. £5. He was working at Trevenson at the time, but he went away.
So what year did the war finish?
45, wasn't it? 1945?
Mm.
Yeah,
how did the war end? Did they celebrate and have parades through the streets and all that sort of stuff?
I just can't remember it offhand. Tell me. I know we all start ringing one another up. and letting everyone know that you're over.
So how was it announced? Over the wireless, I suppose you would have had then, or in the papers?
We would have wireless, because I know I used to listen to the news and go up and tell her. I can't think of the chap's name now. He was working up in the. He was living in the men's quarters, and I used to go up to him after tea every night and tell him the news, what I'd heard during the day, how far they'd advanced or what was going on. But I just can't remember the actual part of the celebrations or anything. I know, yeah, it's pretty hard to remember to go back that far, those sort of things.
Can you remember any luxuries that you had? What you would have called a luxury back then? What you thought, this is great. We had what sort of a car? You would have had a car of some sort?
Well, I'm down here somewhere. The first car I ever had was when I was 26, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was when I was. It was not an A40. That was after I was married, and I know it was a little Austin A40 Ute, and Pat and I went down to Margaret River to see Newt and Molly Herder. And Gary, we took Gary with us, and he would have been, only a baby, because we had a cot on the back with us. I don't know what time of the year it was, but we went for a trip down south anyway, probably after Christmas. And that was the first luxury I had. Otherwise, when we went to town, we used to always go in together. And we had the family car, and everyone had to pile in if whoever wanted to go. If you didn't want to go, you stopped home.
Did you have a record player or any sort of thing like that?
No. We never had a record player here.
Used to that old phonogram they called it? One used to.
Yeah, round.
Is that yours, or was that actually belonged to the farm?
Actually, I think if I remember rightly, it would have belonged to Grandma Lynn Burner.
Oh, yeah.
And she would have left it to us all. I know it ended up at the men's quarters. Ernie and I used to go up there and play it at different times of the day.
I remember it used to be on the veranda around the side, and you used to crank it up.
Yeah.
And put the old needles in it.
Put away that went up to the men's quarters, and eventually got chucked out.
Yeah, I should imagine it would have got wrecked eventually, but yeah, because it was left on the back veranda. I remember it being there for years. Yeah. So, and how did you meet Mum? When did you actually come across Mum?
That was in, I don't know the year now, but it was Ernie and Rod Glass, Dudley Williams, and myself. We used to get to the yacht club for dances, and I know it was getting towards the end of the night, and I said to Rod Glass, "That's not a bad looking girl over there." And he said, "I dare you go over and have a dance with her." I said, "Righto." And of course, then went over and had a dance with her, and I took her home, and just we never split up from after that. It was very good.
Yeah, I'm saying that you met at a ball. I wasn't quite sure where or when.
No, at the yacht club it was. I just can't remember the year, because then we got married then in 1949 in the cathedral in Tyrrell.
Oh, yeah.
4th of July, wasn't it?
4th of July, yeah, 1949.
49.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That was one of the big occasions.
And so what would you regard as being the most significant event?
Well, that was one of them. I did write a few more down somewhere. Significant event. What else happened to me? Oh, when I went away to school, that was another very important part of the program. And coming home from school, and significant things I can remember again, sort of thing.
Well, just the important things that not so much to you, even just sort of
important thing was Ernie and I had a discussion the other night when we took over Manor Farm, and I was trying to remember when we Manor Farm, that's where Jimmy is now, isn't it? It belonged to the Woodcock family, and Dad bought it in my name. Well, actually, he bought it in my name first, and I suppose he's looking ahead for some more land. We bought that, and I can remember the last job I done with Dad was when I was 18. That was in 1942. 18 in 1942, and we put an strainer post in at Jimmy's front. Well, we call it Jimmy's place now, Woodcock's farm. It was the front gate had fallen down, and we went down to fix it up. That was the last job I'd done with Dad that I can remember.
So he was actually sick then? He was getting sick? Or?
No, he was healthy then.
Yeah.
And he took sick in late in October, November or something like that same year, 42. And Ernie thought we'd bought Woodcock's Farm in 43, but I'm convinced it was on the in 42. I even rang Norma the other day,
Yeah.
and Norma said to me, she said, well, she turned 21, and that would have been on the 4th of January 1942, and she said that she was over in Adelaide at the time when Dad took sick, so she came home. That was towards the end of
42.
42
right.
when he first took sick. But he must have stayed on the farm for 3 or 4 years after that. Mum must have nursed him on the farm, but I know Mum nursed him for 15 years from the time he took sick till the time he died.
I remember her saying in one of her recordings where, where the office was in the old house.
Yeah.
Apparently that was her bedroom.
Yeah.
Or something, and she had to end up sleeping separate from him because she couldn't stand him. He was very sick all the time.
Yeah.
So she went into another room. I think she went into there, and he must have been in that other room that was opposite.
Yeah, that was it. I can remember.
Looked after him in there.
That's why I took the fox out of the room on the other side where he's sleeping.
She used to get up all the time in the middle of the night and go to him and whatever. And it got too much. I think she ended up taking him off to Geraldton then. So what year would they have gone to Geraldton?
I don't really know offhand, but I went to Gregory Street first. I think, if I remember rightly, we rented a home in Gregory Street. Then later on, they bought the house in Chetna Street. I don't know whether you got any records of when we bought the house in Chetna Street, but
haven't got the old title deeds or anything like that?
No, not now. I know Mum bought it for £3,000.
Oh, right.
And old Bob Scamp, he painted it the first time. Dad hadn't been in there a week or so, and he got old Bob Scamp in to paint the house for him.
Well, that photo that you've got of all of you sitting outside the front of that house.
Mm.
So I think Alan Johnson's in that photo.
Yeah.
So that was what I think someone told me that was their first Christmas there or something. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Well, Margaret Whiting, she would have been, say 7 or 8 or something like that. So because I remember Margaret Whiting playing chasey around the house. She's chasing the boys, and she came running into Phyllis, and she said, "What's up with her, Mum?" And she was puffing.
Yeah.
She didn't know what was wrong with her. The first time she'd ever been running, I suppose, to start to puff.
Just going back to when you and Mum first married, you came back to the farm to live. Were you the only two on the farm then, or was some of the other men still here then?
Gee whiz. After we come back, there would have been, Ernie would have been here, and Jimmy would have been here. Well, at different times, Ted Ash would have been here, Wally Forder, Barry Reynolds. He wasn't here all the time. He was only here for a few weeks, Barry. But and myself, because we had about 5 working men here, and that was what she's cooking for them. But we had housekeepers then come in too. We had a few housekeepers come in. One of the real funny ones was Pat must have been away at the time, having one of the children, and we were all sitting down having tea one night, and we had this dark girl there, Ruth Dowden, and there's a hole in the door at the back of the right behind where she sat at the end of the table. She sat at one end of the table, and I sat away at the other end. The boys used to sit around the table. There's a hole in the kitchen door, and Jimmy went outside, and he come back, went outside, and he lit a cigarette, but he chucked a cracker in through the bloody, and it landed under this girl's chair. Well, when she went up in the air, she broke several bloody plates on the table. Had a hell of a mess. It was a great joke, but I actually went white at the time.
Black to white.
Oh, Ruth, I'll never forget her.
I don't know, Ruth Dowden.
Ruth Dowden.
Is she still around?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, someone's spotted her somewhere, someplace. She'd be around somewhere.
So what, none of the girls were living on the farm then? They'd all...
Oh, Norma was here for a while, and Rita. Yeah, Norma was here when Gary was born. Yeah, she was on the farm then, and I think Rita stayed here for a while then too. Yeah, and Brenda. I just can't remember the years who was here at certain times. I think Rita and Norma were here together.
So Norman and Phyllis ended up going to Melbourne to live. So what? How come they went over there? Why so far away?
Well, Phyllis was on the farm when she met Ray. That was during the war years. She met him because he used to be out on that trig sign out in the sampling. They used to signal when they're putting the trigs in on the highest points.
That's right.
There's a high point out in Mumby there.
Mm.
And he used to walk him out there. They used to say they'd come around and pick him up. He said, "No, I'm right." Because he used to walk in and have a good meal and he and stay the night with Phyllis. It was just a shot. But I can't remember how Norma met her what's her name? Cyril. She met him later on in years of life somehow, been over in East or something.
So was Uncle Ray Whiting actually from over that way? Is that why they went back over there to live?
No. Yeah, but his dad had accountancy office in Melbourne.
Oh, eh?
And Ray worked for his dad, because then Ray, I think it was the company between the father and the 2 or 3 boys or something, worked together over there then, because when Ray got back after the war, he went back over there and he took Phyllis back with him then, later on.
Ah, so we got the SEC put on, we got it written here, October the 2nd, 1970.
Yeah.
So before we had SEC, what was our power then?
Well, we had the kerosene fridges. No, the power.
The actual power.
Well, yeah.
We had the old motor, 240 volt motor or something.
Yeah, first of all, we had the 32 volt motor and the old Mumby homestead, 32 volt motor, and everything was 32 volt. And later on, I bought the. When we built the new house, wasn't it? I would have put the 240 diesel motor in down the shed, and when we built the new house in 1964. We all. I remember you lot all coming home here for the first night for a meal, and that was after we built this new house. Then that was 64. When you come home here, you reckon it's like living in a motel.
Oh.
For the first time, because the toilet's built in the new house, the old house, you had to walk about half a mile to get to it.
Yes. I never used to go. We used to have a whole bucket next to our bed. I wasn't going to go out in the dark for nobody.
And because then we got the SEC come through then, that was on the 2nd of October, 1970, which made a big difference to the country. And
when that was put on, or before that I should say, the old motor, we used to just flick a switch and let it come on, didn't it, the old lights?
Yeah, automatic.
Crank the motor up itself.
Yeah, automatic.
But down in the other old house, you used to have to actually go out there and fill her up and crank her up.
Crank the 32 volt and turn it off. Yeah, on and off.
And the old power would start to run out and the lights would start to dim. And everybody did a panic.
You have to go and crank her up again.
Yeah.
So on.
And what about telephones? Do you have telephones, like, going back into Grandpop's days and Nana's days?
Well, the telephone must have been here for way back. They used to call it a party line in those days. Now, somewhere down here, I wrote it down. There we go. We had Cripps Brothers was 51D. We had Chillamy, that Sam has it, he was 51R. And Jib, who HR Drays, he was 51K. And we had Trevenson, Ig Drays, was 51U. And they were all on a party line. It was quite interesting, those days, because you can ring up one another without. We all have our signals to ring on the phone, and we can talk to one another without going to the exchange in Northampton.
So one or more people could talk to one another all at the same time. You'd all pick up the phone.
We all picked up the phone. We could all listen into one another. Yeah, those days.
Good for passing on gossip.
Yeah, and as you ring up a bloke, I was a bloke down at Jib. I used to always ring him up and tell him about the cricket scores those days. Must have been before I went away to school, I think, yeah.
Because actually, there was a signal, wasn't it? Ours was like long and 2 shorts.
Yeah.
And someone else was a long, short and a long, and you'd sort of know who was calling you.
And we had to ring 4 shorts. 4 shorts are too long to get to Northampton.
First, I think it was meant to be 4 shorts, but either that or one big long one, I think. You used to get it and just crank the handle round till it went.
Pick up the girl in Northampton, she'd tell you want before you ask, tell her who you wanted. She'd tell you you wanted. She was that good.
Because Auntie Margaret had the exchange on over there for a while, the Ogilvy exchange, didn't she, in one of her rooms?
Oh, yeah.
The old back of her house.
Because then Dad used to have to collect the money off these chaps. There's so much for the use of the line or something, and he used to have to keep a record of that, and they'd send him over a cheque to pay for the line. I forget, it was written down in the wages book there, but it wasn't a lot, but that was one interesting thing, because that we got the automatic telephone come through then on the 1st of June 1977. Well, that didn't come through until after the SEC.
Right.
That was when they would have done the exchange away with in Northampton in 1977. So that was late coming through, actually, because we would have bought that farm up at Boxes, up the top block up there, what we call Mumby North. We would have bought that in 1976. There's a little shed there. You could have dialed Sydney from up there, whereas out in the Samplane, just a block up the Samplane, you could have dialed Sydney because they had the automatic in up there on the Samplane.
All right.
But we never had it in down here.
Yeah.
We still had to go through the exchange in 1977 before we got it on. But that was quite a significant factor in the changing of the life of the farming community, the SEC and the telecom. She wrote that.
Yeah, because the farms are so far apart. I suppose
that's right.
It's pretty expensive to put on. Did you have to contribute sort of towards that, or did the government pay for that, or how about that?
Oh, the telecom didn't cost us very much at all, but the SEC we all had to put in for that one, because there's a lot of put in so much each. I went into a certain area first, coming to Ogilvy, and we all had to have a meeting and to see who was going to go on it, who wasn't going to go on it, and we had to work out a finance system then to see it was fair to everybody. It all went well anyway at the finish. We had a couple of hiccups for a start, but one of the greatest things that ever happened in the community area.